If you're really serious about growing your coaching business, consulting business, service-based business through Facebook ads specifically, there's not many videos that I could make that are as valuable as this right here for knowing exactly how to make more money specifically from your Facebook and Instagram ads. We're going to dive into the 13 different things that really make the biggest difference, the biggest levers you can pull, the biggest things that you can look at to know exactly what to do next with your ads to make more profit. And every single thing here is going to remove so much fluff from Facebook ads, so much confusion from your Facebook ads, and have you solely focus on the things that really make the difference. Now, if you've got no clue who I am, I'm Shoney. I've helped thousands of coaching businesses across almost a decade now to grow to multi-six and seven figures by utilizing Facebook and Instagram ads to scale consistently. Now, we don't have a one-size-fits-all. The reason that we have the type of results that we get to share every single day on socials, on stories, on emails is because we do not have a one-size-fits-all. All businesses are different ad strategies are required, and therefore we have 36 that we cherry pick from for each individual person that we work with. However, the second and most important thing that you need to know, especially going into this video here, is that we focus on money in versus money out. We're not the type of place that is going to tell you need to spend thousands to get a result, that you have to wait months for Facebook to optimize. That's a load of bullshit. Thirdly, we're not going to obsess over the cost per 1,000 views, how many people saw your ad, what your cost per click is. We're going to focus on real things that matter, like money in versus money out. And that's what this video is about right here. We're going to tell you the stats that make the difference on amplifying money in versus money out so you make more money and more profit from your Facebook ads. Let's get into it. In fact, 2 seconds, always forget this. If you're on YouTube right now, then do all the YouTube stuff that people love. Like, subscribe, and if you're a really great human, put a comment down below and more people see the video. All right, into the good stuff. Okay, so let's dive into the 13 things that you really need to track to find the biggest levers that you can pull to increase revenue and profitability from your ads. Now, this is really cool because this was actually a question that went into our Systems of Scale group in the property coaching space. In fact, was already doing the 2 months prior to joining us was 25k or just below 25k a month. So it's already a good business by most standards, but they really wanted to scale through ads. And so in the first 2 months here, we did 40k and then 41k. So really quick growth, but also simultaneously within 60 days, we've added 31k of cash collected sales, not contracted, cash collected new sales to this business. But they're now running ads. Their ads, they've only spent about $1,000 on ads so far to make that growth actually occur. However, they asked a really good question inside the group, which is, when we review the ads, there's a ton of columns there with a load of data. I'd rather cut data down and only have the columns in view that you need to see. What performance stats do you need to see? And this was actually really good because I just jotted down everything that was meaningful that I would love to see to be able to tell them in the simplest way possible what actually is going to affect their ads in the best way to increase revenue and profitability. And by going through it, it ended up with the premise for an excellent episode right here that could make a ton of difference to your ads and your revenue and your profitability. So the very first thing is spend total. So you need to know how much you're spending to be able to measure money in versus money out. This is weirdly something that when people go into customized column, a lot of people have daily spend there, but they don't have spend total. And I don't know why people always want to delete this like it's something that doesn't need to be looked at. But one of the main things that you need to do with your ads at all times is track how much money you've spent in total in a campaign. Never look at an ad campaign within a day's view. Okay? So never look at what happened on Tuesday. What was the cost per lead on Tuesday? How many calls did we get on Tuesday? How many messages did we get on Tuesday? How many clients did we sign up on Tuesday? You'll drive yourself crazy because you'll either have a day where you feel amazing because the cost per lead is down, or you'll feel terrible because it was higher than the days previous. But what you do find is that if you look over a 7-day period or a 14-day period, you can track money in versus money out in a really great way. And also your cost per lead averages out, and then you get to see what your average cost per lead is, what your average cost per acquisition is, and how much you've spent over that time is how we make sense of it. So the number one thing that you need there is spend total. The second one is daily spend. So you need to be able to see on the daily, specifically, how much you are spending. So it's amazing to have money in versus money out, but it is also key to be able to work out what needs to happen to get the goal to happen by looking at daily spend. Here's what I mean by that. Let's say that the total spend is $1,000, pounds, euros, etc. Okay? And let's say that you made 2 sales and you've got a £1,500 program. So now we know that for every £1,000 that you spend, you're going to get 3 back on average. You've got a 3x return on your ad spend, which is decent. We usually aim for much higher, but still, it's good. You're making triple your money back, which is nice. But then what you can look at is if you work backwards, you can say for every £500 I spend, I get a client. And so if your daily spend is at 50, you know you have to wait about 10 days to get a client, which means that if you're tracking daily spend, you can work out how much do I have to spend per day to acquire a client per day. Okay, so it's really important that we're tracking both total spend and daily spend for those specific reasons. Okay, the next one is results. So we need to look at how many leads are coming through, messages are coming through, whatever that thing is that you're doing with your campaigns. Like I said on the front end, we've got 36 different ad strategies that we utilize with our coaching clients. We cherry pick the perfect ones for the perfect coach, etc. Okay. However, results can be opt-ins to a lead magnet, opt-ins to a live masterclass, messages through a messenger ad campaign, booked calls through a VSL funnel. Whatever that thing is that you're asking them to do, we need to know how many people did it, and also we need to know number 4 here, the cost per result. And so when we have the cost per result, we know what we're aiming for in terms of reducing that going forward. Is it something that we can be happy with? So for instance, let's say that you've got £2 per lead right now. And let's say, for instance, again, you've got the £1,000 ad spend, it's £2 per lead, so that means 500 leads come through. And let's say that you know that for every, therefore, 250 leads that come through, you get a sale. And this is something that massively messes people up, by the way, is when they're not thinking like a business owner and like an economist, to be honest. Then they'll look at it and they'll go, oh my goodness, if I get 250 opt-ins, then only one person actually purchases, then that means that 249 people didn't, which means this campaign didn't work. However, if you spent 1,000 and you got 3,000 back, it doesn't matter if only 1 out of 250 signed up. The math's math. People care far too much about cost per lead, how many leads, and their conversion rate from lead to sale versus the number one thing that you should take away from this video, which is the only thing that matters when you're trying to grow your business through advertising is money in versus money out. Okay, that's the number one thing that you need to track. But when we know how many leads you're getting, and we know how many leads you're getting per day, and we know the cost per result, we know what we need to do to amplify the outcome. So if we're looking to get 250 leads per day, because we know that 250 leads per day equates to 1 sale on average, of course, if I was coaching you, I'd be working on that conversion rate as well to get that to 1 in every 125 first, right? So that we get 2 clients instead of 1 client per day. But at the same time, if we know that, for every £2 spent, we get, for $500, we get 250 leads and we get a sale. Well, if we can get that from £2 per lead to £1 per lead, then we can double the amount of leads that come through per day by making that one thing happen. Do you see how we're just looking for levers to pull? Like, we never do an ad review like this and look through things and say, okay, we're going to change every single thing here or try to better it. we're usually only focusing upon one or two things at any given time, and it's always the biggest lever to pull. So you might be saying, okay, right, I understand the maths behind this, Neil. However, if we've got a cost per result, let's say it's an opt-in to a lead magnet, and let's say it's £1, are you just saying that automatically you aim for 50 pence? And actually, it's not like that at all. In fact, if this was to be the number one lever that we were going to focus upon, it would actually come down to, is this a good cost per lead for this market? And so, for instance, in the business coaching space, property coaching space, investment coaching, high skepticism markets versus something that's lower skepticism, like health and fitness and things of that nature, average cost per leads are different. Cost per lead in higher skepticism markets is higher, okay? And so if somebody comes to me who is in, let's say, the property coaching space and they've got £2 per lead, I'm not going to be trying to get them to £1 per lead and obsessing over it. I'm probably going to be focused upon their conversion rate, their offer, how many people are booking calls, how many people are buying. Whereas if they come to me with £6 per lead, and the maths are still mathing, right? And they're still making really good money, but it's £6 per lead. Well, that's a place where I can pull the lever and make a huge difference. And so it's the same with the health and fitness space. As an example, they might have, let's say, £1 per lead. And £1 per lead is really good. It can get better than that in the health and fitness space as well. But it's already such a good cost per lead that if the maths isn't mathing, then we probably need to focus on things like the conversion rates, what happens after the opt-in. And so we can look at these stats to work out what is the biggest lever that we can pull, okay? The next two together, number 5 and number 6, impressions and reach. So a lot of people don't actually understand what impressions and reach mean. They get a bit confused of seeing the two right beside each other. So impressions is how many times your ad has been seen. Reach is how many individual people have seen your ads. So for instance, let's say 10,000 people individually saw your ads, but they saw it on average 2.2 times. Well, that means that it's going to say 10,000 people inside reach, and impressions is going to be 22,000. Okay, why is this important? I told you at the start that I focused on money in versus money out, leads, lead costs, things like that are more important. They are way more important. However, when we look at reach and impressions, what we don't want to see is a massive discrepancy in said number alongside your ads starting to lose potency. Okay, so for instance, I'm doing an ads review for you right now. You send over your ad review 2 weeks ago and you're flying. The next week, you're flying. This week, it's good, but it's not as good as the previous 2 weeks. Well, the first thing I'm going to be looking at is reach and impressions. Why would I look at that? Because if we can see that the ads have reached 10,000 people, but the impressions are 120,000, that means the same people are seeing the same ads over and over and over again. So it helps with the decision making of what the next perfect step is. So in that scenario, so first off, if your ads are running well, like a lot of people go, so how frequently do you change the ad creative? Because I heard this Facebook ad coach and this Facebook ad coach and this Facebook ad coach. One said that it was you change it every 5 days. Another one said you change it every 7 days. Another one said you change it every 10 days. And I've always said, you don't change it unless you're not making an ROI. So if you're, for instance, getting an 8x return on your ad spend, you spend 10,000 and you make 80,000 back. Why are you going to turn off the images, videos, and copy that is so successfully working? You wouldn't. It's silly to do so. And so you shouldn't have those types of non-negotiables built into your Facebook ad strategy. It's going to ruin great campaigns. And it's why I've never understood why the majority of Facebook advertisers and coaches actually have their number. Every 5 days you do it, every 7 days you do it, every 10 days you do it. I've got some campaigns personally, and I've got loads of campaigns with our clients in which they have never, ever change their images, videos, and copy. And I mean ads that they turn on and off like a tap and have ran for well over 12 months. And the reason being is that there's a lot of people in these big audiences, and there's always people who are flowing in and out of these audiences as well. They're dynamic, and therefore, if the ad copy, the ad images, and the audiences that we're targeting are really good and chunky enough, they don't necessarily need to be changed at any given time to continue to produce a great ROI, okay? But if you start to see your ads fall off a cliff, this is what you look at to determine what is happening. And if you can see there's a big discrepancy between reach and impressions, then it's probably that. And you just simply need to go in and you need to change the creative, or you need to target new audiences. I always start with creative. You already have tested the audiences. You already know the audiences work. So it's easier to take the creative and to change the images, for instance, and to re-engage the same audience that has already performed so well before. But you can duplicate the campaign, you can target some new audiences and use that as a test campaign going forward. The next one there, number 7, CTR brackets link click-through rate. Not to be confused with CTR, right? So when you are inside, do I get too excited about Facebook ads and stats? I just realized there it's like the geekiest thing ever. Other than going to something literally called Facebook Ads Camp years ago. But anyway, literally traveled to Germany for it. But anyway, link click-through rate, CTR. So click-through rate is where people go wrong with this all the time. Even when I say specifically add to your account, CTR brackets link click-through rate. And you can do this inside Facebook ads. You can go to customize columns and you can add this to the dashboard because it's usually not there by default. But it's one of the most important things you can possibly look at to get better Facebook ads, okay? So a lot of people add CTR, click-through rate, rather than CTR brackets link click-through rate, okay? Link click-through rate is completely different from click-through rate. Click-through rate is what percentage of people who saw your advert clicked anywhere. That means they clicked on the video to watch it. They clicked on the comments to read the comments. They clicked like. They clicked comment. They clicked to view your profile. All of these things go down as a click. Whereas link click-through rate is only the people who hit the button or if you have a direct link inside your copy. Okay? This is the indication of people actually doing the thing that you want them to do next, or at least the first step towards doing that thing. And so, for instance, let's say that you're getting £2 per lead, okay? And let's say that we look at your adverts and we see that the link click-through rate is... and let's say you're using Facebook lead forms, right? So Facebook lead forms, you don't need a funnel for it. You don't need a landing page to send anywhere. People can literally click a button. It opens up a form, name, email address, phone number is already filled in. It makes it really easy for lead gen and low cost leads. It's amazing. There's ways to increase friction that we do with custom questions and things like that. But that's a video for another day around lead forms. If you want that video, by the way, I can do a full deep dive on how to optimize lead forms. Let me know down in the comments. I'll sort that out for you, okay? I'll make it in the next couple of weeks. But anyway, let's say that you have £2 per lead and you're in the health and fitness space. It's low skepticism to an extent, and you really want to get to like 90 pence per lead, right? So you want a big drop in cost per opt-in. Well, let's say that your link click-through rate is like 1.29. Anything over 1% is excellent. That means that 1 in every 100 people who see your ad, which by the way is a lot, actually opened up the form by clicking the button. Okay? So they didn't just read the ad, they didn't hit the see more button, they didn't hit comments, they didn't click to watch the video. I mean, they actually opened up the form. And so if you know that a lot of people are opening up the form, but not that many people are submitting it, then what we need to do is optimize the form to increase the amount of people that go through. And again, there's loads of things that I can show you in this upcoming video if you want me to create it for you to increase the amount of people that actually submit Facebook lead forms. However, if you can see that your link click-through rate is below 1%. Let's say it's 0.56. Well, in that scenario, it means that the form is absolutely fine. The form is very unlikely to be having any negative impact on your cost per lead. The thing that's having the negative impact is how many people actually want to open up the form in the first place, because it's below 1%. And so if it's below 1%, we need to not look at the form or the landing page or anything after the click. We need to focus on the ads. We need to focus on the audiences who've seen it and the ads themselves, how many of these ads are actually getting people to open up the form. So link click-through rate is an absolute killer. I love it. It's one of my favorite stats on your dashboard. The next one there is CPM, cost per 1,000 views. This one's a little bit more advanced because it takes some understanding around size of audiences, niches, etc. But essentially what this is saying is how much you're spending to get in front of 1,000 people, okay? And again, different niches, size of audiences affect cost per 1,000 views anyway. However, there's a second thing or a third thing that has a big impact. How engaging are your ads? And there's been cases where I have found the cost per 1,000 views. So I'm like, why is cost per lead so high? It looks like the ads are running relatively well. The frequency isn't too high. The link click-through rate is good. The form is really well optimized. Why is the cost per lead so high? And it usually comes down to this right here. So CPM, cost per 1,000 views. So quite simply, for them to get in front of 500 people is the same cost as another coach to get in front of 2,500 people. And so even if their link click-through rate is the same, then it's going to be 5 times the lead cost. Okay? So that's the type of effect that this can have. And so you might be saying, okay, right, well, let's say that's the case. Let's say everything's optimized, but the CPM, the cost per 1,000 views, is very high. What do you do next? Well, in that scenario, I actually tend to create ads that are built more for engagement than actually getting somebody to do the next thing. And so as an example of this, I've got some ads myself that the CPM was getting too high. They were very, very direct, asking people to take action on opting in to get their hands on a Facebook ads course or a free Facebook ads course, a 5-step video series as it were. And the CPM was just too high. And so I wanted to not try and reduce the cost per lead by changing a word or slightly changing an image. Instead, I took some of the most engaging videos that I had made that were educational around Facebook ads, and I actually put them into the campaign itself. So the video doesn't at any point say, hey, click down below and opt in to the 5-part video series about running Facebook ads. It doesn't say that. It's actually videos of me at a live event speaking in front of a lot of people, and in some cases me sitting around a table doing a live mini mastermind with some of my clients. And they're hyper engaging. People don't just stop scrolling, they watch it, they comment, they like, they click through to profile, they follow. The CPM, the cost per 1,000 views, drastically went down, and the amount of people who ultimately started to see my ad for the same cost drastically went up. Right. So basically it was the difference between about £15 per 1,000 views, and it went all the way down to about £7, actually dollars, so even less than that, so like £5 per 1,000 views, which in higher skepticism markets can typically be quite good depending upon the audiences and the sizes of them. But this is one of the more complicated ones to talk about without having context for your business right in front of me. And by the way, if you want us to fully map out the perfect ad strategy for you with full context for your business, being able to do so is super simple. We do 30-minute ad strategy sessions. I'll drop a link down below that you can go through. You can't even buy anything on the call. It's super casual. If you want to know more about how to work with us, it's a place to discuss it. But we're not going to ask you to go downstairs and get your credit card. If you actually just want to spend some time with us to fully map out the perfect growth plan for yourself, find out the perfect ad strategy out of the 36 that we have that are perfect for you, then there literally is no better 30 minutes that you can spend on your business than clicking that link down below and jumping on a call directly with ourselves to help you map that out. And we can map out all of this stuff with you when we're on that call as well. Okay, so that's number 8. So going into number 9 here. So the next thing here, so I said to him, because he was running ads specifically to join a Facebook group, this is a strategy that was perfect for them. They were coaches who literally already had a group. Their group is really good with qualifying questions. They open up good conversations. They book people into calls and they make sales. And so we weren't going to get them to reinvent the wheel and jump on and do this and create ads that look like this. We took the thing that already converts really well and we created ads to fuel that for them. And so we have people come through, opting in, joining the group, and then they're booking calls and making sales on the other side, which is great. But when I say the context there, how many people join the group? In the context of you watching this right now and me saying number 9 on the list here, it's who does the next thing that you want them to do. Okay? So, for instance, let's say it is messenger ads, completely different strategy from this right here. Messenger ads is where we actually run an advert where if they click on it, it opens up Facebook Messenger or Instagram DMs to start a conversation with you, rather than getting them to opt in and watch something or do a live masterclass or whatever it may be. Okay, so the stat there that I would be looking for in this case would be conversations continued. Okay, so we already know the cost per result. We've got this at number 3 here, or we've got the number 3 and number 4, results and cost per result. So that would be, in this case, cost per message, and how many messages did we receive. But then the next thing that you want to track, because this is really important, is when you send your first message back. Thanks so much for your interest. Would love to ask you a few questions before going any further. Sound good? Ask them something like that. How many of those people replied? Because we might have 25 people who have messaged you, but only 3 people responded to the first message. That's an issue. That's a lever that can be pulled by doing one simple thing, tweaking the script. Okay? So the next thing that you want them to do after the opt-in or after the click is something that you need to track here, okay, to find that biggest lever that you can pull. The next one there is calls booked. So if you take calls, this is a key stat that you need to track as well. This allows you to work out for how many leads do I need and how much ad spend do I need to get a qualified book call. Okay, we want to know cost per book call and we want cost per acquisition. 2 very, very key things. And so this is really, really important so that we can work out how much we need to spend to get a call. And by the way, if it's, let's say it's $33 per book call, right? Or let's say another way around. Let's say it's $100 per book call, but you're spending $33 a day on Facebook ads. If you're confused why you're only getting 1 call every 3 days, well, it shouldn't be confusing. This is literally telling you why that's happening. Okay, so when we know that, when we know it costs about $100 to get a book call and we're spending $33 per day, if we want to book a call every single day, then we need to spend $100 per day. Okay, I nearly did something there, which is a little bit like the the types of baby videos that my son watches here and there, in which she like says da 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 da, and then she pauses, and then she's like, "Well done." He hasn't said a single word to her, but it is almost like interacting like it happened. But anyway, moving on to the next bit. So calls booked, and then the next one is sales. How many sales did you make? Actual sales. This allows us to work out our cost per acquisition. You take the total spend versus how many sales you made, you divide it. So $1,000 spent, and you've got 5 sales, £200 per acquisition for easiness of numbers. Okay. The next one is cash collected. And this is great to be able to see what is your immediate ROI. And so, for instance, if in those 5 sales, you did split pays for all of them, you've got a £1,500 program, but you took 50% up front, then 750 times 5 is your cash collected, but your contract value, which isn't here, But this is the next one, and the final one that I wanted to add in is number 13. You can see this is 12 overall, but there's actually a 13th here that I want to add in, which is contract value. Because if you offer split payments and things of that nature, then, and payment plans and different things like that, then you need to take into account your actual contract value. Because the most important thing here is money in versus money out over time, because I'm assuming you're not closing down your business in 30 days from now. And so if you're not closing down your business in 30 days from now, the number one key way for you to scale your business is to monitor money in versus money out with relation to contract value. I always like to be drastically in profit from cash collected, but do not get it wrong. The way that the incredible coaches are able to scale is because they are focused on money in versus money out versus contract value. And so they can say that, for instance, let's say, they spend $200 to acquire a client. They got a £1,500 program, and let's just say that the average cash collected was $300, right? A coach that is going to struggle to scale in that scenario, of course, if that was actually the numbers that we were looking at, we would try and better them. Okay, we would use some of the stuff that we just went through today. But a lot of coaches, let's say they're not working with us, they're not working with anybody that can read stats like this and help them pull the best lever to get better results. Well, in that scenario, you'll find very often that a coach will look at it and they'll go, for every 2,000 I spend, I only make 3,000. So it's like, is it even worth it? Ads don't really work for me. But what's really happened there is for every 200 they spend, they get 300 in terms of cash collected, but they get 1,500 in terms of contract value. So for every 2,000 they spend, they make 15,000 back over the course of the next, let's say, 3 months or 6 months, when you take into account people paying up, as it were. And that's not taking into account people who do renewals and people who stay for longer periods of time and people who upgrade into more premium experiences. And so there's even more ROI to be made there. But if you want the key to scaling, it's money in versus money out with relation to contract value. And that's where the coaches who are in the top 0.1% in terms of earners, that's what they're focused upon. Of course, they always want to maximize cash collected, and they want to maximize their ROI on cash collected. But if they're getting, for instance, a 9x return on their lifetime value, then their business will be in a completely different position when they've played that out with 5 months of ads. And now they're in the position where they have 5 months of payment plans that people are all paying into, right, as they go. And so if you really want to scale your business quickly, ads are the solution. I mean, you can do with ads, it sounds like hyperbole, but like once you've got ad systems up and running that can predictably have money in versus money out, you understand the metrics of it, just like we went through here. And you know that for every £100 you spend, you get a call, and for every 2 calls you take, you get a sale. The cost per acquisition is 200, but the value of the product is 1,500. When you know that there's that big discrepancy there, you can almost choose how much money do you want to plow into it, for how much do you want to get out of it. And you can also use the continuous same campaigns over and over and over again. Sure, we look at some of the stats that we went through here to figure out what do we do next on any given week. But many of our clients that work with us inside Systems to Scale, for instance, so again, our mastermind specifically built for 6, multi-6 and 7+ figure coaches who are doing a lot of advertising, you'll tend to find that like they've already got their ad campaigns up and running. Not before working with us, but now that they're set up with us, it's kind of week 1 stuff for us, right? So we're kind of getting ads set up, the first leads in within the first 72 hours in most cases. But on the other side of that, once they're optimized, once they're scaled, and once they are in a position where they've got extreme volume coming through with predictable outcomes on the other side, it usually starts to become no more than 2 ad reviews a week, maybe 1 ad review a week, to simply just look at 7 days of stats and go, okay, the biggest lever we can pull is this one. Maybe it's number 3 of what we spoke about today, or number 7 of what we talked about today. But we'll just always look for the biggest lever they can pull to maintain or even increase that ROI from their ad spend that they've got right now. And so if this has been valuable to you, hopefully it has been, and there's not been too much gibberish in here, but this is it. Like, you understand these things, you put these on your ads dashboard, you monitor these stats, and even that last 5 minutes that we spoke about, money out versus contract value directly associated with ads, that is an absolute game changer for growing your coaching business and scaling it astronomically, really quickly. That's the key there, is understanding understanding the importance of that. But everything else here is where the levers are that you can pull to actually make that happen, the incredible ROIs. So I hope this has been valuable to you. If it has been, then do all the things that the YouTube algorithm absolutely loves, like, subscribe, comment if you're an absolutely incredible human, and I will see you, of course, on the next video. Oh, and always, I'll drop down below an opportunity to find out more about the private coaching if you're interested in working closely with me to scale your coaching business, scale your ads. And of course, I'll drop a link to the 30-minute ad strategy building sessions as well. Other than that, team, I'll see you on the next video.